Happy Wednesday, everybody. Very excited to be here today. We're going to get started in a few minutes, but thank you so much for the support, everyone. Still trying to see what we're going to do next week because it is basically the day before Thanksgiving, and I think folks are going to be kind of involved in their travel, maybe even with family preparation for Thanksgiving. So still interested to see what we're going to do next week. But very excited to be here today. We do have our guest already on stage. So we are going to get started probably in the next 2 minutes just to let people kind of come into the room. But yeah, Luis, how you feeling today, brother?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well. Very well. It's been a long day. You know, most of my days since peak season started have been a little bit longer, but that is not a complaint. I am learning a lot, and I'm just growing in this industry. So at the end of the day, I'm feeling blessed, brother. Thank you so much for asking. We do have some heavy hitters that just entered the room. Hey, Christy. If you guys were not with us last week, Christy was one of our esteemed guests who explained the drayage process and what that meant from the broker's perspective. So thank you so much, ma'am. You have been a huge contributor to the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse, the entire time that it's been around. So thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so look, without further ado, we might as well go ahead and get started. My name is Jory Myers. I am the owner of Atlanta Dispatch, LLC, based right here in the great city of Atlanta. And we have a very, very knowledgeable brother on stage. Look, Luis, can you please just go ahead and introduce yourself and let the folks know what your background is?
Sure. First of all, thank you everyone for tuning in and supporting this transportation and logistics club. I'm excited to share with you guys a few things that I know and learned along the way. I've been a truck driver since 2006. Got started with my dad, and been in the ports ever since. I kind of never really got away from there, so I have learned a few things along the way, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what do you mean you guys started on the ports with your dad? You know, let's talk about that. How did you get into the trucking industry, and specifically, how did you get into the ports? Let's talk about that.
Okay, 2005, I moved in with my dad, and I thought it would be interesting, or it caught my attention to do truck driving. I thought I would get rich doing it. I was young. I didn't, take into consideration all the cost that comes with it and all the responsibilities and the income and expenses and whatnot, right? So I moved in with him. I would tag along, and he would work out of the ports. So I would help him every now and then. Like, I learned with him most of the stuff, right? Like the shifting, the floating the gears. So yeah, and he was in the port game, so he would have to sneak me in the sleeper when he would go into the terminals, and then I was excited to see all the operations going on in there. It was like a whole other world, And ever since then, I like I said earlier, I've been in the ports ever since, and that's my niche, I could say.
Yes, sir. Okay. I kind of have a similar, well, I ain't going to say similar, but my father was also a truck driver. And I do remember being able to get kind of like in that sleeper and sneak in on whatever, premises that he was delivering to. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, that's great that you were able to learn directly from your father. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. My brother showed me how to, drive stick shift. I was very young. I might have been in my name.
think we lost you there for a bit.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but I came back, brother. So look, let me just go ahead and transition to kind of the next question. You said that you used to go into the ports with your father, and you were excited about the operations and all those good things. Describe the first time you entered the port as a solo driver. You know what I mean? You got your CDL, you got your own truck. It's only you. Like, was there any differences between how you imagined it to be, or was it everything that you thought it would?
Wow. A lot has changed, I was very paranoid about switching lanes because I wasn't, I didn't have the proper the perception about hauling a container. So I always thought I was going to hit a car when I was switching lanes. So that was kind of trippy at first, being on my own. Back then it was easy, man. Wherever you took the empty out of, automatically wherever you took the load out of, that's automatically where the empty returned to, right? And so I have a quick story for you about my first day. I got my license December 2006, and in that same month, I got a job at the ports, right? Back then, you could just print an insurance for someone. You just printed a copy and put it on your visor, and you're good to go. Back then, it was a little easy, Allegedly, they insured me immediately, and nowadays that's nearly impossible. Being so young, 19. So, anyways. So I did that. I took empty out. I was supposed to load a couple hours away. I go to get on the freeway with that empty. It's one of those on-ramps that appears to be like a U-turn as you go in. I failed to check the K-rail. I knocked off almost half of the axle there, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's funny because immediately I got on the freeway, I damaged the trailer, so now the trailer is like following me sideways, I could see it on the shoulder,
wow.
So immediately the next off-ramp I exit, and I go straight back to the terminal, man. That was my first trip.
Wow.
I put the empty in, they accepted it, I dropped it on wheels, I parked it, and I dipped, man. I was like,
man, that was the very first experience?
Yes. Yeah.
Most people would be shook, say, I'm never going back. How did you, what was it inside of you that said, no, I have to go back?
Well, now I know how to take that turn. I went back the next day, went on in business as usual. Just a very good lesson,
Yes, sir. All right. Look, I'm not mad at you. Okay, so that's a very traumatic first experience. Did you feel as though that taught you something in that moment that you maybe even carry with you all 15 years that you've been operating?
I scan more often now. Like, it probably sounds weird. Like, just scan the road, like quick little glimpses of all the mirrors, aware of your surroundings. Mm-hmm. And my mistake that day was I was too cautious of not hitting cars with the tractor when I went wide that I totally forgot about the container,
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that, I see exactly where you're coming from, you know what I mean? But, safety is number one, especially as a truck driver, a fleet owner, anybody that's in any of these commercial vehicles, people are looking for that check out there. So you got to be safe. I want to say, like, when it comes down to actually being on the port, though, how important is it to be vigilant? And do you have any examples of, like, any close calls, any near misses, or anything like that that you've experienced?
Well, we see a lot of stuff out here. Fortunately, I haven't had that many bad experiences. I've had close calls, like, where... Well, not a close call. We actually played bumper cars because we were so desperate to get into this one terminal. The line, it's a line outside. It's a line outside of like 6 lines, right? Each line has like 30 or more trucks, and all those 6 lines become one. So go figure,
Right.
So me and this one guy, like, he didn't get put two and two together, like, one and one. It was just all about him. So I kept going too. He kept going, and my mirror got hit, and my fender got messed up with his container, and we looked like two dummies right there. Everybody going around us, So at the end of the day, nobody won,
Yes, sir. I mean, I can definitely see how nobody won right there. I mean, it is a thing about being patient, but it's another thing about having 6 lanes bottleneck to get into a port, So which port was that?
That was Houston Terminal. They called it NYK. They called it 214. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got you. So when it comes down to the folks who might be interested, maybe they're an aspiring truck driver, maybe they're already driving and they just have never experienced, the port. How do you get your truck onto the port? Like, what are some of those steps?
Well, the truck with in California, there's certain requirements. I believe right now it's 2015 and up, and I don't know if it has an expiration date, if that makes any sense, because mine was a 2009, and it's already on the way out. So December 31st of next year, that's the last day for 09. So you got to know what year they're taking in. I have a number to the drayage truck registry. If I don't know if it's okay with you if I share
go for it, man.
That number is 1-866-721-5686. So once again, this is the drayage truck registry phone number, 1-866-721-5686. So what they do there, they provide you any information that you need in regards to a truck entering the terminals, From my understanding, you got to once you pass that criteria and you have the adequate year, then you go on to get an RFID tag. Mine was like $100 at the time. The company I was leased on to paid for it. So now that RFID tag is married to your truck, right?
Okay.
So then when you want to help all these other companies, they register you on Intermodal, your truck and your driver license, your truck plates, all that in Intermodal under their company. So that way the RFID tag communicates at terminals, when you do their transactions. It recognizes you as an authorized owner-op for that company, right? Another thing, you got to pay your port fees. That's every year. It's about $200.
Okay, that ain't that bad.
Yeah, to enter as a owner operator. So yeah, the RFID tag is the main thing for the truck, and registering with the companies. Once you have all that, then you could register with like even 10 companies. I hauled for like more than 5. You just got to know their SCAT codes. They provide you the appointment. You go in. The downside is that if you're hopping around from company to company, then they don't really like it if you are using their permits when you're hauling someone else's load. So the more carriers you are affiliated with, the more Plaquer Swaps you will have to do. But to be honest, a lot of guys don't do it. So you got to be careful out there. Know who you're leasing on.
Right. Okay. So Plaquer Swaps. Let's talk about that because that kind of reminded me of something that I'm used to with dispatch and dry vans. But when you say Plaquer Swaps, let's talk about it. Describe what that means.
That's as if I leased on to you, but I'm also registered with other companies. So it's important for you to know that I'm not going to be driving around with your placards on, with your permit numbers on my truck when I'm hauling for ABC Trucking,
Mm-hmm.
And I have this overweight load and I get caught with the overweight load at the scale with your permits, that liability is transferred over to you. You don't want the wrong people pulling loads with your numbers. That's a very important thing you want to take care of. That's the whole operation right there. You don't want to be out of service over the negligence of another driver that you didn't even know was doing that.
Right. I hear you. So when you say placard, is that synonymous with me saying like a big old magnet that has your information that you just kind of like stick to the side of your truck, like your cab, or is it something that's actually more official, like a hazmat placard?
It could be both ways. The guys that are going long term, they just slap the official placard on there, like this giant sticker. The guys that hop around, they have other methods. They have some that they can flip over, so the other carrier is on the back. They just pull it out and slide it in. They have yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And for you, I know that you said that you had over the course of your time probably about 5 carriers. Was it a matter of you're working with one on Monday, but they don't have any work for Tuesday, so you might have another one just so that you as a driver you're continuously making money, or is it like you kind of this is something that you're kind of like 6 months with one person or one carrier, and then 6 months with the next carrier type situation?
Yes, it's to fill in the gaps. I have consistent work, just a different company name, but the same green coming in.
No, I feel you, brother. Okay. So look, when it comes to somebody that is new and being on the port, like is there a certain like level of training that needs to be done so that they know where to go, how to move? Like, is it a different world on the port that, somebody who has no training would be a little bit lost in?
Yeah, you could definitely get lost. Some of these terminals they feel like a city, like a whole new city, What does help is that it's common sense to a certain degree. As far as alphabetical and numerical terms go, right? So if you figure you start and to the right, you see the A section, then further down is B and so on, And also, a lot of guys are more friendly than you think. You can get off and ask anyone for help, and most of them would guide you. And that's how I did it. When I didn't know, I would ask for help. And also, some of them have available maps.
Okay, what do you mean by like
for example?
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, like very few of them have a big poster of a map of the terminal layout, and you probably drive on over there, take a picture of that, or ask around. Okay. I'm not sure if they have any online that you could download as well, but it's not that hard once you get the hang of it.
Right, but how does one go about getting the hang of it? Like, is there a specific training that they do? Like, are there specific safety protocols for being on the port?
The bigger companies, I've noticed recently, they start bringing in a trainer with them. So they both have to have a TWIC card though. That's one thing I gotta mention. You need your TWIC card to come in here, and the trainer will need a TWIC card as well. So they kind of guide them around, So those guys have an advantage to start off with those companies. Other than that, everyone else learns as they go. And yeah, you're out here in the wild. And the time is everything. At night, for example, they go to lunch at 9:45 and they come back at 11, right? Okay. So if you go in at 8:30 and you don't know what you're doing, and you finally find a chassis and you finally find your spot at 9:45, well, now they're not going to service you till after 11. So it's very important that you know where you're going and you do whatever you can to get to that spot, get your can, and get out of there. Because once they go to lunch, everything stops.
I hear that. And for the folks who don't know, he said that to get onto the port, you have to have a TWIC card. And just in case you didn't know what that was, that is the Transportation Worker Identification Card. It is basically something that you can get. You just gotta pay the fee. It's an extreme background check, and it costs about $126. Jamira last week was giving us the exact price, but it's basically $126, y'all. So feel free to Google that bad boy if you need it. It also helps if you're a carrier pulling dry vans, or even if you have a box truck. That TWIC card can help you expedite your way onto a military base or something like that. So, yeah, brother, let me ask this. Like, can you describe what was like a very, very smooth experience of getting on the port, being loaded, and departing? I'm not asking for crazy details, but just the basics that maybe that carrier company had to have in place, all those appointments, all those details that they would have had to have in place so that it was a smooth situation. Can you describe what that looks like from getting onto the port, being loaded, and departing?
Sure. The ideal situation when you go in here is a dual transaction because they group the appointment. So you go in, you return an empty, and if your loadout is the same size, well, it's good news because you happen to have that chassis on you the moment that they remove the empty from you. You go straight to your spot to get the load. They put it on, and you're out. My shortest time with this scenario was about 20 minutes.
Okay. That's very smooth. Very smooth. So, but what does that look like, though? I know that. So, actually, I'm going to break it down what you just said. All right. So, you have an empty on you. You're returning that empty. They come over to you with this big old forklift thing with these things on the side. I've never seen it on person. I've just seen it on, something on the internet. So they come and lift this with some crazy looking forklift, and now you're just staying there. Now you're hanging out with the chassis, which is just the underbelly of the trailer. And from there, do they always come back? Do they always load you with like what seems like that crane situation, or do they sometimes come back over with the forklift looking situation? What does that look like?
Yeah, they have different piles. There's piles for empty, so you could tell it's an empty pile because the containers are all pushed against each other. There's no gaps in between them, and sometimes those piles go slightly higher than the loaded piles would go because the different equipment is used for different types of containers. So there's certain they call them top handlers. Those are the forklifts that arms expand. If you see them coming directly at you, it looks like the letter, like a capital T, right? So those, they have the pins on each corner. They pull up and take your empty or your load, depending if it's an import. If it's an export, they come get your load. If it's an empty, they come get it. Some don't have the weight rating, so you gotta wait for the proper equipment to come by. For the loads, there's different types of. Those are called trans, and it looks like how would I describe it? It looks like a H missing the top half of it, if that makes sense. Okay. So those run from the entire row up and down, and all they do is reposition containers, like Tetris. So that operator is kind of playing Tetris in a way, digging out your can for you. And so that back to that scenario. So they take your empty away. Your load is not going to be where the empty was taken away. You still have to go look for your spot for the load out and hope that there's no line already there. So that's why I said that scenario was ideal. They took your empty. It was empty to come into the terminal. There was no line. They serviced you quickly. You went to your spot. They removed the empty container. You drive away to your spot for the load. The machine is there. It loads you. You're gone. But sometimes you get to that load pile, and it's like line and line and line, and you better. I hope you had lunch because you never know how long you're going to be there when that happens.
Yes, sir. Okay. Is it like is it like an airport where they have the folks on the ground with the wands, kind of guiding where the plane goes? Do you guys have that when you're going to these different spots to get loaded or to be, unloaded?
No way. It's when it gets out of control, they attempt to have security come and coordinate things, but all they're really good at is screaming and pointing. They don't even, nah. Matter of fact, I ignored them when I was going to my spot. I don't even listen to them because there's so many times that they assume everyone's going to that spot where there's a mess. So they just point. I'm like, bro, you don't even know where I'm going. Like, they don't care.
Yeah,
I've done it before. They sent me to the back of a line that was not my line. Wasted hours.
Right.
I get to the front, and it's like, where are you going? You're not going here. I'm not. I'm going there. Then what are you doing here? I'm like, top flight security over there told me I gotta come here.
Right, man. Okay, so what does that look like? Is it as simple as what you said earlier? The rows are in letters and maybe the columns are in numbers. So you just go to, A5 or, C7, something like that.
Yeah, it could be 1C, 2C, 3C, okay. 4C. Those are all big categories, right? Uh-huh. So between 1C and 2C, there's a cross street. Think of it that way. Between 2C and 3C, there's a cross street.
Yeah. Okay. Like,
so now yeah. So now I'll break down 1C. 1C will have like rows like of containers. You park next to it. You always line up your chassis to the container piles where yours is at. So let's say you're at the end of that row. There could be like up to 100 slots.
Okay.
Yeah, each slot can have like up to, let's see, 25, 30 containers. Just estimating because they go to right? The container that's right next to your chassis, they don't go more than 2 high for safety purposes. The next one, they go, I believe, 3. Then the next one, they go 5 or 6 high. See, there's bottom, middle, top, zebra, double zebra. That's how they chalk up your location in most places. So yeah, there's 5 high. 5 high is the most.
Okay.
I know it sounds like a lot. It's just I wish I could describe every little thing because a lot of guys probably are wondering what the heck is zebra. That's just
right. I mean, I was kind of thinking that too, but I was kind of thinking that too. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother.
Well, okay, yeah, that's what the operator of that trans knows how many to move. Uh-huh. See? So if your container is in spot 1, right, in 1C, just 1C spot 2. Now the clerk comes and sees if your container is like in the 3rd row and the 3rd one up, yours would be in the position 3, 1. 1, 2. There'll be 3 bottom, middle, top. 3T. Your container would be 3T. That's how the clerk would write on your tires. He would chalk up your tires. It would say 3T. I'm sorry, guys. I had a little brain fart there. But
it's all good, brother.
That way, the trans, when it comes down to you, it automatically knows what to do.
Okay.
3T, 3 top. See, T represents top. Bottom, middle, top. Zebra is the 4th one. Double zebra is the 5th one. So those are just easy ways that they could identify what it is. So if he sees 2 Z's down there, he's happy. He's just gonna grab it. Boom, the first one he sees on top.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense, and I appreciate you for explaining that because I know that people who are, considering becoming port drivers, like this is the stuff that they need to hear because this is a language and a lifestyle that you've curated over the course of 15 years. You know what I mean? This stuff is natural to you. You don't even think about this, but somebody like me, I dispatch, brother, but I haven't dispatched any units going onto a port, so I have no idea what this is really. So, I'm appreciative of you being able to break it down for me. So thank you. So we talked about a smooth experience, but there's always the opposite. It's the flip side. Murphy's Law sometimes enacts it. So what was the worst port experience you had, and what were some of those factors that contributed to that?
The worst, I've had a few, but logistics wise and efficiency, it would be waiting 2 shifts for my container. And yeah, I was there from the morning, like around 8:30 in the morning at Houston Terminal, by the way.
Houston Terminal, is that in Texas?
214 right here in the harbor area.
Okay.
Long Beach, LA.
Long Beach, LA. All right.
So yeah, that was horrible for me. I waited all day. I finally get to my spot. It's already like 2 a.m. Then by 2:15, the guards come driving around in the little pickup trucks, and they just tell everyone to leave because they're not going to service you. It's already too late. Because at 2:30, everyone has to be out by 2:30.
Oh, that's just the standard rule right there in Long Beach is 2:30?
At that terminal, yeah.
Okay.
If it's about to be closing time, they might as well just let you go because they're not going to be able to get to you.
Okay.
So,
and was that like a mistake on somebody's part? Like, is that an appointment that wasn't set? Is that like, what was that kind of led to that you getting kicked off after 2 shifts?
That's not the minute you're in there, your appointment was good. If you never made it in there, your appointment was not good.
Oh.
Maybe you're just delayed at the trouble window. It's like a designated parking spot for people that have issues and are unauthorized to enter until their appointment numbers are correct or until fees are paid or whatnot. Maybe they're too late, but in this case, everything went good. My appointment was good. I made it inside in the morning. I found a good chassis. I waited in line in that scenario that I described when it gets really long. So this could have been in the row 3C, and the line was back till like 1C, man.
Okay.
Right? So, and the thing is, these machines, they want to get the most out of them. So the terminal will hire the labor based on the volume they have that day, right? So word on the street is that the terminals are, what would you say, stingy. So they would order not enough manpower because ILWU is the labor. They just go in and do the labor where they're assigned. So tell me, you got a long line of trucks and you got one trans operator. You think he's gonna be going all the way down from 3C to 1C just because you've been there all day? No, he just wants to move as much cans as he can where he's at. So everyone that's in 3C spot 100, they better go. When they see a gap, they better go. When they see the gap, they better go. Boom, boom, boom. There's times that the machine stays in the same spot like an hour or more, And all those people that went through at that time, they got lucky. Once that machine starts coming down, it'll go to the next slot. Whoever's lined up properly, start flipping them. Also, when we say flipping them, it means they're getting their container. It's not literally flipping them over.
Okay. I hear you. Well, yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talked about this, but not really in detail just yet. Like the process of going to grab a chassis while on, at the port. What does that look like? Is it just a big old pile of chassis, or is it, do you have to wait till somebody to unstack them or something like that? How does that look?
Well, it used to look good. There used to be a lot available, and now there's still a lot available to a degree, but now there's a lot of little politics going on that we're unaware of. The terminal doesn't authorize whoever's working that pit to bring chassis down for us, right? So if they don't approve it, they don't bring them down. Also, sometimes there's chassis there that even if they wanted to give them to you, they don't because they're out of service. And it can be something simple like a tail light or a flat. Maybe there's not that many tires at the moment, whatever. It's not up to the mechanics to begin with to just, fix stuff at their free will. Now things change to where the owners of the chassis, they're very observant of their expenses, and now they go and approve everything. So there's times that they don't come in immediately and approve stuff, right? So they want to get the most for their buck. If you say this is out of service because it has 3 flats, they want someone to go see that it really has 3 flats. They don't want to be billed for 4 flats. You get it?
For sure.
And it didn't even used to matter about roadability. Someone that works with chassis told me an interesting story about how we came to require mandatory roadability at the terminals. Did you know that long ago, a trucker, his chassis, his brakes gave out, and he rear-ended Gloria Estefan's tour bus.
What? Okay.
Yes, and that was a transaction that took place out of a Maersk terminal, and I believe Gloria and the team, they sued, and ever since then, roadability's been around.
Oh man,
huh?
Yes, sir. Okay, all right. Well, what's your perspective on the quote unquote chassis shortage? Do you think it's just a matter of the politics that you kind of mentioned, or do you think it is something else? I mean, you don't even have to have an opinion on this if you don't have one.
Oh, everyone has an opinion. There's a lot of supply chain experts, but everything's still the same. So that's where I get curious. Like, everyone knows everything, but everything is still chaos. So why is that? So my humble opinion is cause and effect, man. Like this COVID thing, when it first came into effect, when it first came through, things got shut down, the ports closed momentarily, the lockdowns, whatnot, and they didn't spend as much, and then they got that cabin fever kicking in. Later on, they all start shopping away, man. The nation started going on shopping sprees, and then you got those, what do you call those checks that came in? Everyone
PPP.
You got that PPP. So, and if you're at home and places are closed and everyone's tripping about a mask, and you just order away online, Amazon and whatnot. Then Amazon is a big player in the supply chain now, right? They got pull. So I see they get preference. That's one scenario I want to mention. I may be wrong, right? But they get preference. So where a small carrier will get maybe 5 days with that equipment at a warehouse or whatever before they collect fees, before they accrue fees called per diem. In comparison to Amazon, they get like 30 days. Like, they're in no hurry to unload these containers. They have yards, staging yards where there's just full of loads and even full of empties. Also, if all these people are getting easy money, no one had any desire to go to work. You're getting that free money, right? What is that word? It's not that PPE only. There's something else, that the Trump money that they were saying. What was the official title for that?
Are you talking about the people were getting the like $1,200 checks?
Yeah, what was the name of that?
You
know what I'm talking about.
But I got it.
Yeah. So you got all that money coming in. You shop.
Oh, the stimulus. Yeah.
There you go. The stimulus. The stimmy. Yeah. There you go. The
stimmy.
You got the stimmy. Well, I want to go work at Amazon for a certain amount of money per hour. I got the stimmy money.
Right.
So there's a lack of workers there,
Yeah.
And then, so guess those loads that are sitting there, guess what they're sitting on? They're sitting on chassis. So if the big corporations are hoarding the chassis because they're not moving the stuff out, then we don't have chassis to work with. But there's a lot of little stuff. We all just point the finger. I think everyone has some part in it. We should all just take ownership and just figure out how we're gonna do it. Because even if they unloaded everything, Amazon unloads everything. I'm using Amazon as a reference. Even if Amazon unloads everything, so now who's next in the supply chain?
Right.
Are the terminals gonna be able to accept all those empties? And then we go into the appointment scenario. They be playing with those appointments, man. There's no availability, or they're available, but you have to take something out. And it's like, man, the steamship lines aren't even taking the empties back. From what I hear, the steamship lines make money bringing loads, which is an import, and they make money taking loads, the exports. They don't make no money when they take empties back, even though that's their equipment. So they kind of like double dip at the moment. Hapag-Lloyd, one of the steamship lines, just a scenario how much money they've made during this whole, crisis. They made more in the last 6 months than they made in the last 10 years combined. So that's the money out there right now from all this, So why would they have any desire to fix it?
Right. I mean, I've been getting some of these stats and stuff from Freight Waves over the last few months as well. These steamship lines they're making bank, more bank than they've ever made in their history. So it's definitely been interesting for everybody involved. I guess my next question would be, what about these folks that have these empties? Like, why would it be? First off, what is a street turn? And how does that play a role in what you got going on? What a driver has going on?
Well, the street turn, it's ideal for anyone that has a headache with an empty that's just sitting around because the terminal won't accept it, or there's no appointments, or you don't have availability. The street turn is a way of saying, let's say Louis is going to take Jory's empty from his yard because Louis is loading up freight, that is ideal for the dimensions of that box and the steamship line as well. All those things matter. So you can't just take any empty. The empties have labels. That big sticker you see on the side, that's who owns it. That's the steamship line. So if I have a booking for OOCL 40 high cube, but you have a 40 high cube Yang Ming, it's perfect. It fits, but it's not the right steamship line, So my booking is not compatible with that. We would not be able to street turn. The reason we do the street turn, I'm sorry if I'm going all over the place.
You're fine, brother.
The reason we do the street turn is because you don't want to go to the terminal and wait in line to return it. And I don't want to go to the terminal, wait in line to get one. Like, why don't I just go pick it up at your yard? Saves us time. But there's a process to it. There's a few. I'll give you one. You go on the steamship line website. I would provide you the booking number. Then you street turn it for me. That way you know for a fact that it's street turn, because you don't want me running around with that empty and go and load it up and it's still under your SCAT code. What if the terminal's not receiving that load once it's loaded for 2 weeks? You're still gonna owe money per diem for those 2 weeks because I was just sneaky and I didn't street turn it until the last minute to save money. Right? So you want to make sure that the liability is off you for good. That's why you do it through the website. If it's approved, you get an email, you get proof, and you're good to go. Allow them to come pick it up. Even if they don't come pick it up, it's on them already. So yeah, you never want to load one until you never want to load a street turn until it's approved, because sometimes it won't be approved. There's guys that'll load it up. They're in a hurry. They'll load it up. Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna go load it up and just let me know when it's approved. Because time's money, right? Well, their impatience here will cost them, because now it turns out that empty was food grade, and this guy went and loaded it up with scrap metal, right? Yeah, they didn't know that. So what does he have to do now? Now he has to drive back to the warehouse and dump it and return the empty. Like, oh man, what a headache for something you were trying to come up on,
Right.
So that's what go wrong.
Right. And I didn't even know that, it makes perfect sense now, but I'm telling you, I'm so green to this entire port situation and drayage situation that I didn't even think about the different, level of containers, and just like, how clean they are, and how nice they might be, because it's definitely something we know about when it comes to refrigerated units. You definitely got to be food grade. And then you got the dry vans who are all at whatever level. It can be a real trashy one, or it can be a very, very nice food grade one that you can get from our homie Delmar with Rent My Trailer. You can get stuff from him that's food grade for sure. I think. But yeah, I never thought about that when it came to the containers. Okay, so yeah, you put me on game about that one. And when it comes to those containers, and sometimes they're being loaded with recycle and nasty stuff, I know a dry van would just go to maybe the Blue Beacon right up the street. Is there like a cleaner, some type of wash right there on the port, or is that the same thing? You have to leave the port, go get it rinsed out, and then bring it back?
I have never rinsed out a container, bro. Maybe I swept one. I cleaned one up like that, but I never know.
Man,
dry van game right there.
Yeah, dry van drivers, they have to keep that broom, bro, because they have to sweep out a lot of stuff, or at least mine used to, just depending on what they were, they were hauling. But yeah, getting it cleaned out, because sometimes, we did have to take a recycle load to do a back haul or something like that. And although they say it's palletized and all that kind of stuff, it got some juice dripping out. So you got to get that cleaned out. You got to get it washed out. But okay. Yeah,
that reminds me of something. Because when you get an empty, you always got to make sure you open the doors and check that it really is empty.
Okay. You sound like you speaking from experience. What happened?
Oh, man. I picked up an empty. I was in a hurry. I just got it, locked my pins, and took off. I drive like an hour away to the customer. I open it. It's full of racks, bro, like hangers, like hanger racks. It was a hanger container. Like, I guess there's, I don't know what, some fancy clothing that they didn't want to put in no boxes, they put it in hangers, bro. They had all these poles, all this metal in there. Man, I was not about to drive back, so I started unassembling it. Oh, that was a long day, man. Long day, bro. And yeah, one more thing before I forget, since we're wrapping up the street turn thing. A good thing about it too is, let's say I drove an hour away somewhere. I took an import, right, to get unloaded at a customer, and that pays, let's say, $400, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just say $400. And down the street, there's a shipper that has an export that needs the exact same line. Ooh wee! So guess what? We get the street turn approved. Right? Mm-hmm. And I don't have to drive back to the terminal. I just go down the street, load that up, bring that back. And now that trip that normally is $400 the round, it became an $800 trip. Okay. So that's I like street turns like that. But I'll be honest, they're rare, but they're nice when they come around.
Okay, and with a street turn like that, all right, so everybody, most time when you're talking about port work, it's a round trip situation. So does that mean for that street turn that you then had to bring back an empty to that shipper that needed that exact can? Like, did you have to, or was it done once you brought it to the port, brought it back to the port?
No, they I delivered at the warehouse a load. Now, when they sign the POD and all that, I'm good to go, right? Normally, I would drive back with that empty to the terminal to complete my round trip of $400. However,
right.
In this scenario, down the street, the shipper needs the same empty. And it meets all the specifications. The booking was approved for the street turn. All I do is take that empty and I drive over there, get loaded. That's a whole new trip. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they're still going to pay the round trip for that, $400 as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I was basically saying they're paying that $400 just for that one way at that point then.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah. In that rare occasion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear you, brother. So look, guys, I know that we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon, so please go ahead and start getting your questions ready. Just in case you had anything that you wanted to ask our brother right here, because he, as you can see, this is second nature to him. is all new and foreign to me. So go ahead and start getting your questions ready. So I guess I wanted to ask this thing. The fact is, there is well over 1 million loads of freight just hanging out off the coast on your side of the states, right outside in LA port in that area. There are so many container ships, so many, reasons as to why those bad boys aren't being unloaded. How do you feel about this? What do you see going on? Where do you see this going? What's your opinion, brother?
Well, I just see it like something's up. To be honest, I don't want to get all conspiracy theory on you guys. It just don't make sense. It's there's all these things that they're saying that they're doing to improve it, but it almost seems like it's done purposely, man. Okay, here, for example, the terminals offered a 24-hour gate, but then there was all these restrictions, like you could only come in if the load is on wheels, if the load out is on wheels, and if you bring an empty the same size, and you have to make an appointment, Also, another thing, they say 24 hours, but technically it's just an extra 4 hours because they close around 3 a.m., open up at 7. So, and then another thing, the warehouse, if they don't get on the same page, I worked on a Sunday once, but that warehouse that I needed to deliver to, it wasn't open on Sunday. So they all have to get on the same page. That's one thing. Everyone has to be on the same page because it's a chain reaction, supply chain, right? So we got to figure it out. Honestly, I don't know, man. I try to read as many articles as I can, and it just kind of confuses me more because everyone has their scenario playing out in their head. So all I know is what I see right here from where I'm at. I don't see no extra effort to get things moving. The terminals are being cheap. They're not hiring enough labor. They're making the union look bad because it's like you go to the post office. If you see one lady at the cash register and there's a long ass line, a lot of people will be looking at her funny, like it's her fault, But they don't really know the whole operation. They don't know that in that scenario they're trying to save bucks and just have one employee. You know what I mean?
Great point.
So we just see the face value of things. So this results in working class going against each other. Oh, there's a shortage of drivers. You guys should get your lazy bums to work. And then the drivers will be like, oh, well, you guys should work faster. Look at that long line outside. It's your fault. Little do they know, most of the time, the long line outside could be the steamship line's fault because the steamship line said to the terminal, which, by the way, the steamship line is the terminal's customer. So they're like, bossy to them. Like, hey, you know what? I want to receive empties today. Send them all. So that's where we get all these trucks going in at the same time. So, but it makes it look like the longshoremen aren't moving fast enough, right? So there's a lot of little things, man. It's like way more than just what these anchorman report that it's a lot of people that are not in it that are commenting on it and making it worse, So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel you, man. To be honest, that's kind of like a little bit outside of my realm. I just read what's on Freight Waves, and I just, like you said, you take in so much information, you think that it'd be, an answer, a solution, put in place by now. But, I guess I'm one of those folks just trying to see how it's going to play out. And do what I can do in the meantime to kind of bring more awareness to it. So with you, I know that you're going to be doing your podcast soon. What's the name of your podcast? And, what type of content can people expect to, kind of have up there?
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. It's not up yet. I'm still doing sound check and all that because I'm going to be recording it myself from my garage for now.
I respect it.
It's gonna be called like my handle, Kontaineroz. I'll update my bio later on for those that are interested in it. My YouTube channel, it's the same as well, Kontaineroz. I've already got on there, but I'm gonna be adding the podcast on there as well. So, and what it's gonna be about? You said, well. Short and simple, I would say interviewing people in the drayage industry to show what that part of the supply chain is all about. From the guys that unload the containers, from owner-operators, company drivers, the freight forwarder, even longshoremen if they're willing to come on. Just everyone's perspective so we could see what they're all about. Because there would be a lot of respect for the other person if you had to do their job for a day. Then you would know where they're coming from. I think that would help a lot to know what these people go through and get their perspective.
Yes, sir. I agree. I mean, if, there was more empathy / sympathy in the world, we'd be a lot more compassionate place. So I agree with you. We'd be a lot more patient. Okay, so cool. I'm going to check it out. And go ahead and say that handle again one more time. And you also have a YouTube channel, don't you?
Yeah, like I said, I'm working on that. It's a little. It could use some work, but I don't. I'm new to editing and all that stuff, so it's just pretty much raw footage right now, blog style. Like keeping you guys posted on updates. How's the podcast going? Everything is Kontaineroz. Instagram Kontaineroz. Clubhouse Kontaineroz, YouTube Kontaineroz, podcast Kontaineroz. So I'm gonna jump on that first episode soon. Hopefully, get that going, and it provides value to you guys.
Okay, well, yeah, man. You definitely have provided value here tonight. So, Luis, I'm so appreciative. Did you have anything that you wanted to say to maybe somebody that's in the audience, whether they're an aspiring driver? Maybe a fleet owner, a company driver, a broker, steamship company owner, anybody. I mean, this is kind of like your platform right now. So feel free if you had a message that you wanted to convey to any of those type of folks, just go ahead and say it.
It's really simple. Just if you are curious about trying it, try it. It's not as hard as you think it is. There was a time I didn't know anything, and I'm still learning to this day. So just go for it and, kick ass, get that money.
Okay. So look, were there any questions? Just go ahead and raise your hand if you were, if you had any questions about being on the port, any type of port work, if you're wanting to do it, if you had something that was not discussed, I would just say go ahead and raise your hand because it is that portion of tonight's discussion. So in the meantime, brother, I did just want to say thank you because again, this you didn't have to come onto the platform, but you did, and the fact that you were able to help me better understand what goes down on a port. Who are the players involved? Like, who are the folks that you actually have to, go see in order to get your load, how to, choose your chassis, how it looks when it's being taken off, where to line up, all of that, the ZZs, you know what I mean? So I got a lot of game from what you were just saying. And I know that's just the very, very, tip of all of the experience that you have as a port, operator, driving on the port for 15 years. So I just wanted to let you know that I truly do appreciate you coming on. And, I'm not sure if we have any questions, but again, y'all, if you got some questions, go ahead and raise your hand now. All right. Look, we have our very first question. Welcome to the stage, madam. Look. Well, if you maybe you're going to accept it. All right.
There you go.
How you doing, ma'am?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Definitely. Please introduce yourself and let us know what your question is.
Hi, Luis. First of all, thank you for this, and the same thing to you, Yuri, for doing this. So, the first question is, you mentioned about appointments at the ports. Who makes the appointments at the ports when you are going to pick up a container?
When you're an owner operator or a driver, the dispatcher will make the appointment for you, and it's just your job to be there on time. However, if you are a concessionaire, which is like the company that actually is authorized to pull out that load, you know what I mean? That load's been assigned to, then it's your responsibility to make the appointment yourself, and yeah.
Okay, so the broker tells you, hey, Louis, the broker tells the dispatcher the container's at the port. Then the dispatcher calls the port, and then they book the appointment and tell you, Louis, hey, Louis, I booked you the appointment to pick up the container, and it's at this time.
Yeah, something like that. The company will get the work. The dispatchers don't always know the plug, if that makes sense. They just know the information. They know the vitals, like the last free day. Because the moment that container touches the ground, the clock starts ticking. The company will get one email that tells you it's there, and after that, it's on you. If you don't take it out within those 3 days, there's something called demurrage. They start charging daily for storage, and then those fees add up. There was a dispatcher that made a mistake and totally forgot about a container for a couple months. I believe their bill was like over 30 grand.
Wow. So you keep mentioning chassis. Can you talk a little bit about how that works as far as do you go yourself and just get in line for a chassis? How does that work for you? How do you get a chassis? How about that? How does the day look like?
For me, let's see. If I know I'm going to a terminal that it's notorious for never having chassis available, I try to ask a friend if they're returning anything, if they could hold on to it, or I try to ask around who has an empty going to that same terminal with the same size, right? So that when I take it off, I have a chassis available. Other than that, you would have to go in there and line up. And sorry to say this, but not everyone follows the rules. You might be lining up, doing the right thing at the pit. That's what they call where all the chassis are, or they return to, right? You might be doing the right thing, waiting in line, but there's someone with experience that knows where the empties are being, flipped, and they'll wait over there instead and bypass your line. So you guys wonder why the chassis never come through to be dropped at the pit is because someone's cutting the line and picking them up directly from the empty area.
Got it. And the last question is, so your day could go, like you said, hey, I have a container and I got it and I was in and out in 20 minutes. But then you mentioned also that there's days that you, for instance, you gave the example that you were there 2 shifts. So with that being said, how many, in a typical day for Luis, how many containers can you move in a day?
On a good day, like it depends on distance and it depends on on distance, right? So for the local runs, maybe two trips that day.
Got it. Again, thank you, Luis and Jory, for letting me ask my questions. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming up. Good luck.
Oh, no doubt. Appreciate you. Look, she is a broker, y'all. So holla at her. She got some freight to be moved. So look, we also have another person that joined stage. Please introduce yourself, madam, and let us know what your question is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikia. I am a recent dispatcher. I just started my dispatching services about 6 months ago.
Hey.
And thank you. And I've actually been working with drayage loads and different things like that. So one, if I can give a helpful hint, when my drivers are not able to find a chassis, they're registered with the Union Pacific rail yard, and they can pick up chassis there sometime. And I'm in Houston, and they usually pick them up from the Union Pacific. So I don't know if anybody's in Texas or if there's a rail yard in the area. That's just Juliana made me think of that, so I don't know if that's helpful. But my question is, if I'm a dispatcher and I have a driver that's interested in ports and they don't have a UIIA endorsement, how would you go about getting them loads? Is it beneficial for them to maybe lease on someone who does have it, or get with a broker who is UIIA certified? Or I missed it earlier when you say where you get the loads from for the port. So if you can maybe get direction on where you can get more loads from and get more drivers set up.
Well, me, I've always got the loads from the LMCs. So they've got the appointments and everything. I just pretty much would choose what was more beneficial to me. But I do know that to get the loads, that was your question, right? How would he get loads? How to enter the port?
Yes.
Okay, so the concessionaire, that's how you're all the way in. There's like a $2,500 fee that covers the both. At least here, the Port of Long Beach, Port of LA. People do it with their own authority. Get the proper insurance. Get a SCAT code. The UIIA agreement, select all the appropriate equipment providers through the UIIA website. You create logins for the terminals for each terminal, and also this is one part that I haven't really done myself, but you need to email the steamship lines directly and request access if I'm not mistaken, so they could recognize you in the system under that SCAT code. Then security deposits for the chassis pools. I believe there's like 3 major ones. They want to be able to just bill you when the time comes. I think it's monthly. And your insurance, I believe it's the same as a regular owner op. General liability, 1 million. Auto liability, 1 million. Motor truck cargo, 100 grand. Trailer interchange, this will cover the chassis or container, I believe, $35K. That's to be like a official company to go into the terminals. I believe there's more to it though for you to get the plug. Someone mentioned that there was a load board, or a UIIA load board. I have not confirmed that yet, but that could be helpful as well. The dispatchers that I work with are dispatchers for companies that are already registered to pull loads out of the terminal. Okay.
I know. And then once they get registered, like I have a driver that just got a UIIA endorsement on their insurance and just registered, but they need to register to get a chassis. Where can they get that?
To register for the chassis pools?
Yes.
I believe it. I may be wrong, but I think you call them directly. Also, another option is a lot of people are just buying their own or leasing their own through Ames, aka FlexiVan now. Okay. If you have your own chassis, that's a good advantage because you don't have to wait in line. sometimes it's hard. You'll miss out on that load. That chassis makes a big difference.
Yeah. Okay, those were my only questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for answering those. And Nakia, thank you for asking those. Those some great questions. I appreciate you. And again, congratulations on that dispatch service.
Thank you.
We hitting out here. We're hitting. So I'm probably going to reach out to you just because I network with all the dispatchers, as many dispatchers as possible. So
that sounds good. Thank you.
Ma'am. All right. We did have another brother join the stage. Please introduce yourself, sir, and let us know what your question is.
Hey, I just want to say what's up to everybody in the room. And on touch on what Nakia was asking, if you have a driver that can't get in the port, you could find a dray company to pull the container for you. And what they'll do is charge you a fee, anything from like $150 to $300, and they'll pull the container out for you. And they could take it to your yard or meet your driver and give it to them.
Okay, and they do that for. I mean, is it also based on how far?
Well, no. Normally when I do it, I tell the dispatcher, have your driver meet me at the gate, and then I'll just give him the container.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself like waiting in those long lines like Lewis was talking about earlier?
Oh yeah, it happens. We all go through it. I follow him on Instagram too, so I kind of know what he goes through. It's just the same way over here on the East Coast.
Hey, hello.
What's going on, man?
See? Hey, brother, you famous. Kontaineroz.
Yep.
See.
Well, look, where, Brother Baker, where are you operating here on the East Coast?
I run Virginia Port and I run Florida.
Okay, Virginia Port and Florida. I do know someone who is out of Virginia Beach, and I dispatched their box truck, but they just got a semi too, and they want to do port work. So I think I'm going to be speaking with many of you who are listening in right now to see how I can get that brother some dedicated situation, or you know the verbiage. He just wants some consistent port work in the Virginia Beach area. So, the brokers who are in here, holla at me. Christy, I'm looking at your profile picture. Mark, what's up? So y'all just talk to me. But yeah, appreciate you coming up, Brother Baker. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
I just want to say it's a lot of port work out here, especially like you mentioned, Virginia Beach area. That's a big area over here on the East Coast with port work. A lot of dedicated work over here also.
Okay. How long have you been working the ports, brother?
Since 2013.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And is that a specific name for that service? People who are just pull the containers out for folks who don't have that endorsement. Do you have a specific name?
Yeah, just basically Drake.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that is the technical definition. You are moving it from a very, very short distance. So, yeah, that is drayage.
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming up. At the end of the day, y'all, I think unless there are some more questions, that is it for this evening, So, going once, going twice. Well, boom.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
I think a lot of people get discouraged because they think they're going to wait in line forever and not get paid. I don't know. There's a rumor going around that they don't get paid. When I was leased on, I would get paid after 2 hours. So that shift, that day that I had a bad experience for 2 shifts, I got paid all that time. So it was after 2 hours, $40 an hour. So do the math. You're there 10 hours, 12 hours actually, and 10 paid. That's $400, and no one just lets you have that, And maybe it's inconvenient if you didn't pack a lunch or water, but you're still making money. So it's all mental. Like, don't let people discourage you from trying it out. And that's all. Okay.
Well, look, man, Luis, I'm very happy to have you a part of my network now, brother. It was great speaking with you the other day. If there's anything I can do, you just let me know, man. You got my number. But for everybody else, I just want to say thank y'all. This is some support, man, and it feels great. I got my day ones in here. Literally my mother. Day one. So appreciate you. I'm just grateful. Next week, like I said, I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do because I didn't want to schedule anybody to come on as a guest the day before Thanksgiving. I thought that'd be a little bit I'd be kind of entitled to say come over here when you're supposed to be traveling, getting ready for that type of situation. So anyways, I'm going to figure out what we're going to do next week, whether it be just a plug yourself situation, folks who want to come on and let us know what they got going on in their day-to-day business or something. But I just want to say again, appreciate y'all. If you need anything from me, reach out. And, God bless you. Till next week, have a blessed one. Peace.